What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Universal Mastery. Welcome back to my public YouTube channel. Now, if you're new, let me give you a little bit of a perspective on exactly what I do here. What I do here is I break down the occult sciences, and I break them down to a very practical degree so that you can simply use them and apply them in your day-to-day life and get real, actual results with what it is that I'm teaching here on my public channel simply by applying your observation and awareness. Very practical, okay? Once again, if you're new, let me give you a little bit of a perspective on who I am, just so that you know who you're getting this information from, which is very important, especially when it comes to your own personal psychic self-development. My name is Jeremiah Schwartz. I am a professional occultist. I am fully initiated in the entirety of the Kabbalistic tree. I'm studied when it comes to the 22 major arcana of the tarot deck. And I'm also studied when it comes to planetary energies in direct association with astrology. Okay? So with all this being said, what is the topic of our today's video? Okay? So I'm sure you have a general understanding from the title of this video. And that's exactly what we're going to be going into. We are going to be covering more on Lucifer and Lucifer's connection with the source itself. So basically, what role does Lucifer play in the evolution of the human species in regards to them developing themselves from an evolutionary standpoint? Okay, so once again, what we're going to be talking about is Lucifer's association with the science of the source itself and how the human species can further evolve, okay, on a psychic level, on a spiritual level, mental, emotional, physical, all different levels, okay? So if this is something that you are interested in learning a little bit more about, then definitely stay tuned. I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do before we start this YouTube video is I'm going to light one of my Emf Incense Sticks. These are electromagnetic frequency incense sticks that I create myself. I'm always going to set an intention whenever I light these sticks to increase my power in any way that is possible, however that becomes manifest. And if you have your own Emf Incense Sticks, if you purchase them from me, now would be an ideal time to light yours with a similar intent. And if you want to get your hands on some, fourth link in the YouTube description, you can purchase a bundle of 50. Okay? All right, so let's go into it. So what is the role of Lucifer in regards to the human species evolution that is also directly connected to the source itself? Okay? Well, the first thing that we really want to understand is what exactly is the source, okay? I know a lot of you who are reoccurring to my channel and study my channel, you have the awareness, okay? You know what the source is, okay? I've discussed it many times in many different videos that I have. And if you don't know, then I would recommend just simply watching through my content and starting to absorb that type of information. And definitely, I would recommend joining the Patreon to really take it to a more advanced degree, which is the first link in the description. But in a nutshell, the source is the source of energy that created everything, okay? It's the source of energy that is the deepest rooted source of everything. I mean, that's honestly the best way to put it. It's hard to put it into conscious words. It's hard to put it into any sort of archetypal refinement. You know, it's something that really can't be spoken about and understood just objectively, okay, just logically, because it's way beyond that. But this is the best way that I can explain it. It's a source of energy that emanates this certain type of light, which is not the typical light that you would be used to. It's not the light where you turn on you flip a switch and then the light turns on. It's not angelic type of light. Just that. It is that, but it's also a different type of light as well. It's the entirety of the light spectrum with every single color that you could possibly imagine, and ones that, don't even exist to our human perspective. So the point is that the source is this emanation of everything. It's this emanation of energy, so to speak. And it's not an entity. It truly is not an entity. It is not an archetype. It is everything. It is all of it. Okay? The source is conscious in the fact that it's pure mind. Okay? Essentially, that's exactly what it is. It is pure mind. And when I say pure, what I'm referring to is its primal mind. Okay? It's the deepest rooted level of mind, which has one evolutionary role, which is to cause evolution. Okay? It's to produce evolution. Now, there's certain types of theories in regards to certain people that are occult practitioners, or certain people that are mystics, or very spiritual people in general that have a perspective that the source produced the first entity, or the first entity itself branched itself off from the source, essentially so that the source could interact with itself, and have its own experience within evolution through the consciousness of an entity. So these are just theories, but the point is that the source is this emanation of light that is a light that we don't even understand, even if we try to the the deepest degree, because there truly are no ways to actually logically pinpoint it. And it is the emanation, it is the root of everything that is. That's the best way to put it. It's the root of everything that is. Okay? It is in objects that are inorganic, it's in objects that are organic, it's in life, it's in things that you would consider are not living. Okay? It's in plastic, it's in cardboard, it's in this linen in front of me, it's in human species, it's in animals, it's in insects. It's everything. The source is everything. There's a purpose for everything in regards to its evolutionary source, and that's what the source represents: evolution to its primal degree. Okay? Pure mind is a good way that you can try to understand it. Okay? Now, as I've discussed from my YouTube channel, I've discussed my personal philosophy on what has taken place with the source in regards to the first entity that branched itself off from the source, which my personal belief, and this is not just a random belief that I adopted, this is not something that I read in a book somewhere, this is from personal experience, being a high-level initiate within the Kabbalistic tree, or within the multiverse, okay? All aspects of it, Sephiroth and Qliphothicc. And as I said, my philosophy is that the first entity that branched itself off from the source was a very dark, negative energy that would be represented as the Dark Mother. Okay? It was the first primal, feminine, Dark Mother source of evolutionary chaos. I believe this is the first energy that branched itself off from the source itself. And this is, and in regards to the way that this became manifest, is this became the space, the dark energy space that exists in the universe, that exists within the multiverse, that holds constellations, planets, stars, and things that we consider are living. Okay, I believe it's this dark feminine energy that is known as primal chaos, that is this first entity that branched off. Now, from this dark feminine motherly evolutionary source of chaos, I believe this energy, or this entity, we can refer to this as an entity, because this is an actual conscious being that plays its evolutionary role in regards to the mass scheme of evolution itself. So what I'm saying is, you can actually communicate with this energy, you can contact this energy, and it will communicate back with you consciously. Okay? Now, I believe that this source of evolutionary chaos, I'm going to refer to it as the Dark Mother. I believe this Dark Mother entity produced the first entities that we can call the gods, that we can call the Anunnaki, we can call the Watchers, we can call alien species. I believe this dark mother force, this dark mother entity, is what produced the next living entities, okay? All coming from that womb within the void, that womb coming from chaos itself, primal chaos, okay? Which is evolutionarily based and does actually have a hidden order embedded within it, where a lot of people don't understand that. You know, a lot of people think chaos is just random and there's no purpose for it and that it's evil, when in reality there actually is a hidden, we could even call it a hidden code that actually is, you know, you can't really pinpoint it logically, but it does make sense and it creates a certain level of order within chaos, which once again is what needs to really be understood in today's time, especially by, you know, science in our today's time. And they're not going to understand that for a very long time now. I guarantee that. But long story short, this dark mother entity created the next entities, okay? And I believe one of those next creations, one of those next created entities is a Lucifer, okay? A Lucifer type of energy, which is actually the next entity that represents the source itself, except in an entity form, okay? So obviously I'm using the term Lucifer right now, which is Latin for light bearer. But this same entity, the same name has been interchangeable and has been used in different ways throughout different cultures, okay? So once again, just because I'm saying the word Lucifer does not mean that, you know, this is the sacred name and this is what it is only, and it can only be Lucifer. No, there's other cultures that have created different names for the same source of entity that I'm referring to when I talk about the light bearer or Lucifer, okay? So for example, the Egyptian culture called it Ra, okay? Ra was their sun god. You know, in our today's time, 2022, we have Lucifer, which once again translates in Latin to the light bearer, okay? And you can go forth and, you know, see other different types of connections between this light, you know, this light type of entity that also has connections to the deep unconscious and subconscious, so to speak, the underworld, okay? And that is a perfect representation of what Lucifer is depicted as, you know, in our today's time. So that's why I use the word Lucifer. And there's a lot of ancient significance to this word as well. So that's just what it is. But once again, I believe from the dark mother entity, the first entity, then was produced a Lucifer, okay? Now, the goal of this Lucifer is to give the awareness to the species of whatever type that is going to be, you know, using the energy of this Lucifer, this entity, to be able to give the awareness of the source itself. Okay, so let's understand this. The source is not masculine and the source is not feminine. It's beyond these polarities. It's androgynous to its most primal root. Okay? Now, the first entity I believe was that I believe branched off from the source was a dark feminine entity. Then from this dark feminine was produced the primal masculine. Okay? So right there, we have sort of a weird understanding of what a lot of people get stuck in and what a lot of people get caught in when they often and most times think that God, which translated and decoded really is referring to the source, they say God is he, God is a man. People always refer to source, the source, as if it's a male, as if it's a man. And what I'm trying to share, and this is a deep secret, if you really can absorb this information, is that the source is not a man. The source is not a woman either. But the first thing that branched itself off from the source was actually the female. It was the feminine energy. Okay? This is very important to understand. Because when people start to associate the source itself with a male, they're actually starting to archetypally link in to lesser entities, lesser archetypes that are not as primal in nature as they are in regards to the dark feminine. So what I'm saying here is that most people, like to give it a practical understanding of what I'm saying, most people refer to God as he, and therefore they're connecting to Yahweh. They're connecting to Jesus. They're connecting to the solar entity, the solar figure in whatever entity they're connecting to within whatever culture, whatever society that entity is embedded within. Okay, so there are levels to solar entities. Okay, so there's a difference between Yahweh, there's a difference between Jesus Christ, which is a solar entity, and then the separation between that and Moloch, which is also a solar entity, but they're very different in nature. Moloch being more so primal and more so, more so, that's the best way I can put it, more so primal and in touch with the instincts. Yahweh, Jesus being more so encoded with morals and right things to do and wrong things to do, okay, under the scope of sin, so to speak. So both are solar energies, solar entities, yet very different. One is more primal than the other. And then you have Lucifer, which truly is a solar entity, but not the same light that you think of, not the same light that you would think of as just the sun, or the same light as, once again, what we were discussing earlier, where you flip a light switch on and then the light turns on in your room. We're talking about a dark light. We're talking about a whole different type of light spectrum that is very misunderstood in our today's time. And that's what Lucifer represents as the light bearer, representing that same light from the source itself. But once again, being created, Lucifer being created from the dark mother. Okay? So the point that I'm trying to make is that when people don't understand the roots of where their soul comes from, they start to gravitate towards the solar entity, the solar figure. Now, there's levels to it, as I just discussed. You can gravitate towards the Yahweh. You can gravitate towards the Jesus. You can gravitate towards the Apollo. You can gravitate towards all these other types of entities, which have all different types of archetypal significance. But the key, if you really want to get the evolutionary value, is to get to the more primal solar entities that are representing the light of source itself, which is not the same light that you would think of just coming from the sun. Okay, so Lucifer also represents the black sun. Lucifer represents the dark light. Okay, and this is clearly depicted in the fact that he's mentioned as the fallen angel. And, there's a lot of people that understand this, that are in the occult field, that, you can clearly see, when you've done invocations of Lucifer, you can clearly see he's associated with the underworld. And primarily to be able to guide you through the underworld, to then break out of essentially the underworld here on this planet and then gain mastery over it and then rule on the planet. So we can clearly see Lucifer's roots are outside of our multiverse. They're outside of that, okay? And that's what I'm saying. Lucifer is the represented entity that is supposed to teach the beings that are invoking Lucifer or trying to develop the energy and awareness of what Lucifer represents, to teach them the awareness of the source, literally the source within them, recognizing that they are the source, recognizing that the soul of the species, the soul of anything that is able to consciously understand that there is a source, or that there is some sort of spiritual psychic phenomena taking place. The key of that Lucifer energy is to make that type of being, that conscious being, recognize that they are the source in their own right. They are literally an aspect of that same source in their own right. Doesn't even matter if you're on this physical planet. It doesn't matter if you have a physical body. Just because you have a physical body does not mean you do not have the ability to also be the source in an energetic representation, because the truth is that we are not just physical beings, and this is obvious. We have a deep unconscious, subconscious mind. We have an astral body, and we exist as spiritual beings here on this planet, and we can affect that spiritual dimension or multiple spiritual dimensions and cause change to ourselves and also the physical plane. So the fact of the matter is that this is literally the secret. This is a deep secret that I'm sharing right now. Lucifer is that entity, that first entity, in, once again, whatever name that has shown up in different societies and different cultures before the name Lucifer came about. This is the entity that teaches you you are the source, and the way that Lucifer teaches you that you are the source is by initiating you through all of the areas of our multiverse that are necessary to be initiated into, to travel within, to embrace, so to speak, to then recognize you are the source. Okay, so how does this manifest from a Kabbalistic perspective? Primarily, this is going to manifest in, initiation through the Sephirothic tree, and then initiation through the Qliphothic tree. Okay, this is the only path to really understanding truly that you are the source. And when I say understanding, I mean from experience, so that you actually step into that yourself. Okay, there's people that are listening to this right now, and you're understanding what I'm saying logically and intellectually and analytically, but you do not understand what I'm saying from an experiential standpoint, where you're actually embodying these principles that I'm saying, where you are the source. So there's a big difference. And the way that you embody that is, once again, traveling through the entirety of the multiverse, the light aspects, the positive polarities, and the deepest of the deep negative and dark aspects of our multiverse, to then step into that state of being. Okay. And the way that we see this, once again, from a Kabbalistic perspective, is as you're initiating through the Sephirothic tree, you're essentially getting closer to God. Okay. You're getting closer to the Godhead. And even in Kabbalistic traditional understanding, they refer to God as a He. They're once again energetically connecting to a Yahweh. They're connecting to a Jesus Christ archetype. Okay, some form of solar entity that is not the true solar energy, so to speak, the deepest, most primal solar energy. And but essentially that's what the Sephiroth teaches you, how to get, it's teaching you how to more so create order in your life, how to more so create order within yourself and understand some of the basic laws of the multiverse, and how to create order within the multiverse, yet simultaneously connecting you with the fact that, you should align yourself with God and, follow the principles of God, and this is the difference of what's good and what's not good, what's good and evil, so to speak. But if you're truly wise, then the next step for you as an initiate should be to realize, okay, the next thing, once you've completed your Sephirothic initiations, is to then enter into the Qliphothic realm to become the source yourself. Not just create order in your life to the way that you feel, is necessary, or that you should, based on what God wants you to do, and to surely not just, associate yourself with being under or being inferior to something superior to you, which would be God. Uh, Rather, the Qliphothic realm is then going to teach you that you are God. You truly are the source. And the only way that you can really understand that is through the deep levels of darkness and chaos of your own unconscious and subconscious mind, being in that realm where everything gets scattered and everything gets rearranged and reordered, to the point where you lose everything, to the point where you lose your identity, you lose your sense of self, you lose your purpose, and you lose that ability to identify yourself as an inferior being to something superior, to that God. And then you're just left with yourself, you're left with your spirit, and you're left with your own personal soul. But, if you're someone who's properly initiating, you're making sure you're taking time to really process, the experiences that you go through, processing your deep unconscious and subconscious mind. And eventually what you're going to start realizing is that although it's uncomfortable and it's not fun going through ego death and ego death and ego death and disillusion, you're actually alchemically changing in a very powerful and a very profound way. Therefore, getting closer to recognizing you are actually the source itself. Your soul in its own right is starting to energetically change in its formation to pull you and your spiritual awareness to the fact that you are actually the source itself. You are an aspect in your own spiritual being, in your own energetic right, the source itself. And this is the entire process of initiating through the Qliphothic realm, although it's gotten a huge bad rap because of its unfortunate circumstances that, are placed within the Qliphothic realm. But that bad rap is only given to it because people do not understand the proper formula, so to speak, or the proper process that they actually need to go through and embrace to really understand that they are the source, which requires death and death and death and death and dissolution, dissolution, dissolution of your ego. So, of course, the Qliphoth is not going to be a fun initiatory experience to go through by any means. And trust me, there are many people who do not make it through. I mean, it's dangerous on a psychological, mental, emotional, and even a spiritual level to people who are not prepared to enter into that level of transformation. I mean, think about it. If anyone could just wake up one day and then realize they're the source, then there would be no evolution in general. There would be no process for re-remembering what you are and who you are, and everyone would be doing it, and there would be no purpose of this planet even being here. Okay, so what I'm trying to explain is that the real keys of awareness that you are God, that you are the source, happen within those darker areas of the multiverse itself, which goes by the name of the Qliphothic realm. And this is what Lucifer's primary evolutionary role is to teach you as the individual, or as the initiate, or as the species who is pulling on the energy of the entity Lucifer, where Lucifer will literally guide you through that dark area within the multiverse. Lucifer will guide you to those really deep areas of your deep unconscious and subconscious mind, and try to subtly show you and teach you, and once again, alchemically change you to recognize that you are the source. You are Lucifer, and you're also the Dark Mother, and ultimately, you're the source itself. You are a literal aspect of the source, which then makes you the Dark Mother, the first entity that branched off from Source, and then makes you Lucifer. Okay? And this is why within the Qliphothic realm, the final sphere of the Qliphoth, known as Samael, is said to be where Lucifer's throne resides, because that's the end point of the initiatory system. You could think of it, that's the end point of the maze within the matrix that is very dense, negative, and dark energy. And then at that point, you get crowned as Lucifer. Okay, you become the Lucifer, and then you have access to go outside the three negative veils, which is where you come into contact with the Dark Mother. Okay, the Ein Sof Far, the Ein Sof, and the Ein representing void, where the Dark Mother resides. Okay, and this is where you step into huge amounts of power, and you can actually start affecting evolution in the most profound way by being a destructive evolutionary being, meaning you're not only concerned about just creating order and healing mankind, or healing your fellow neighbor, or trying to teach your neighbor that love and light is the answer and that's the only way to move forward as a mass collective. Rather, you're embracing the entirety of your nature, and you're also recognizing that you can use your mental, physical, psychic, um, emotional, and spiritual abilities to destroy things under the scope of evolution, which is one of the primal roots of what the Dark Mother does. The Dark Mother creates and destroys. So this would literally be the most effective way to even work with the Kabbalah in the first place, utilizing the Sephiroth for the creative and ordered aspects, and then utilizing the Qliphoth for the destructive, death, disillusion types of aspects. And also, naturally, when you embrace the Qliphothic realm, you're gaining much more clarity of your own deep unconscious, subconscious mind, which naturally comes with a lot of energetic power and a lot of ability to control that deep unconscious, subconscious realm here on this multiverse, which literally, in a nutshell means you put out an intention into the multiverse, setting an intent, and it becomes manifest. Okay? People that don't embrace the Qliphothic realm do not have the ability to do that. Okay? And I'm telling you from personal experience. But yes, this is the main point of this video. This is truly what Lucifer represents. Okay? This is truly, I swear on everything, this is the secret. And this is something that you're not going to hear many other people talk about, because literally because most people do not understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so obviously, with this information, with this knowledge, really absorb it. Now, obviously, if if that's something you're not resonating with, you don't want to absorb it, then don't do it. Okay, it's that simple. Okay. But there are people that are going to absorb the information. That's why I do what I do, because I'm playing my evolutionary role as the Lucifer, giving you the information for the people that are going to receive it. Also realizing that there's for sure going to be people that disagree and that do not want to receive it. And you know, that's evolution. Okay. So that's the key. And this is what all the elite occultists, this is what the psychics and the shamans and the mystics that are able to control the multiverse here on our planet and also just control the multiverse in general. This is what we all understand. Okay. Now, once again, I'm not saying that every spiritual person understands what I'm saying. I'm saying the real elite psychics, the real elite occultists, the real elite shamans, we understand that this concept, this general concept of understanding the source, understanding the Dark Mother, as well as understanding the importance of Lucifer, we understand that this is the proper formula to really create success in the physical plane, in the real world, as well as soul and spirit's evolution. Okay. This is why, Lucifer is demonized to the mass collective. This is why, your typical Christian, your typical religious person, your typical person on the planet is going to hear the name Lucifer and immediately think the devil and think evil. Okay. But then you look at their life, and next thing you see is they're living a terrible life where they're actually living in the Klipothic realm. Their life is a living hell. Okay, chaos is everywhere. Yet that's evil. That's the devil. And this is the point that I'm trying to make. The multiverse is set up that way, and it's set up that way for a reason, because not everyone is supposed to know this truth. Not everyone is supposed to understand this information that I'm sharing. Okay, this information that I'm sharing is one of the deepest secrets within the Illuminati itself, within the occult field. And although it's one of the deepest secrets, it naturally, by the laws of evolution, is not going to attract, thousands upon thousands or millions of people, because in regards to evolution, it's not meant to do that right now at this point in time. But for people that are really here right now, listening to this and absorbing this information, you just happen to be that lucky few that are starting to at least become present when this type of information is coming out. Okay, you're obviously here, you're listening to these concepts, and some of these concepts that I'm sharing are going to permanently change your life. Okay, so once again, this is the big secret. And if you want to take advantage of the physical plane, if you want to take advantage of literally ruling the multiverse in your own rights, in your own way, creating a lifestyle, a physical lifestyle that is satisfactory on all levels, as well as get to your soul's highest evolution, get to your spirit's most refined self-development by recognizing that you are the source and you're in this physical plane, basically playing a game where you can create what you want, and you do create what it is that you want to increase your power as the entity, the aspect of source that you are on the astral plane. Okay, so this is another secret. People that understand this awareness and have gone through the initiatory process, we've solidified ourselves on the astral plane. This is what the Nephilim are. This is what the Watchers are. So that means when we die, we don't get stuck in the cycle of reincarnation and have to immediately come back, or, relive another type of experience where we're unconscious. Rather, we can transfer consciousness into our astral bodies and go back to dimensions that we've created for ourselves, at some point in our evolution when we went through that process. Okay, and then we can choose to reincarnate here on the physical plane to control it and to create structures that further empower our astral, or we could say our interdimensional dimensions. Okay, Now, obviously, this is, this is a lot of information, but I'm going to leave it there. I think I shared enough in this video. I think it's valuable. And yeah, we'll leave it at that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, then definitely come down here and hit the thumbs up button. Okay, there's no reason as to why you wouldn't do that if you didn't enjoy the video. Okay, next thing is go ahead and hit the notification bell, because that is very important, especially if you want to get notified whenever I post a video. And oftentimes, most of the times, I post content that people are literally thinking on their own minds. So they'll be thinking about something, and then I'll post a video that is in direct connection with what it is that they were thinking about. So if you want to take advantage of it, hit the notification bell. Okay. The next thing is come down and hit the subscribe button, because if you're not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then I promise you're making a very big mistake. Why? Because there really is a subtle energetic principle to you coming down and hitting that subscribe button, which is actually going to create a further link between me and you, so that you can actually streamline this information that I'm sharing a little bit more profoundly. Okay, you'll get the information a little bit more than as if you weren't subscribed. Okay, so if you want to take advantage of that, hit the subscribe button. If not, forget about it. Okay, the next thing that I want to say is you have my full permission to copy and paste this link and send it out to anybody that you think or feel this content will offer value to. Okay, whether that's family, friends, or social media platforms, you name it, you have my full permission. Go ahead and do so. Okay, my intent is to spread this content like a wildfire, and it has been. Okay, the next thing that I want to say is come down here and add me on Instagram, JER_477. Okay, very simple to type in. Go ahead, follow me on Instagram, see what I do. Okay, check me out on social medias. Now, the next thing I want to say is if you want to take advantage of joining within a private Facebook community where there's over 400 members that are posting daily very valuable content, okay, very valuable information, then you can go into the drop down, go into the YouTube description, scroll down. You're eventually going to come across a post that says private Facebook community. Then right underneath of that post, there's a link. Click that link, follow where the link takes you. Then you can request to join within the private Facebook community, and I will add you in. Okay, so if that's something you're interested in, you know exactly what to do. Now, this is the most important link within the entirety of the YouTube description. Click the little drop down. It's the first link at the very top. It says My Patreon. You can't miss it. Obviously, this takes you directly to my Patreon. Okay, on my Patreon, I have an entire vault of exclusive occult content where none of it is on my public YouTube channel, and that is for many different reasons. Okay, I have content that is in the range of live streams where I share very valuable information, then in the form of blog posts where I break down very valuable information in very much detail and depth so that you can really understand it. And then I have videos that are very similar to this one, yet they're a little bit more advanced and a little bit more personal. Okay, then for tier 3 and up, you're gaining access to an entire magic training course, which I feel like would be extremely valuable, especially for anyone who is a beginner occultist that is looking for a structured format to follow to start developing your own psychic capabilities. Okay, then for tier 4, this is the top tier of the Patreon. This is what I call the Universe.B Vampire service. And this is the only service that I perform for anyone, okay? And although this is the top tier, this is also the most popular tier on the Patreon, which literally means most of the Patreon members, and there's a little bit over 180 right now, most of those members are top tier members, okay? So that speaks for itself. And what I do is on the 29th of every single month that has a 29th, is I perform an advanced occult ritual on those participants who are top tier members to permanently change their energetic structure to be more so Universe.B dominant. So basically what that means is they have the ability to exist in the darker areas of our multiverse without being harmed by them, rather starting to develop power from them. So naturally, this becomes manifest in the person being able to be more receptive to their unconscious and subconscious mind and also starting to develop the psychic ability to pull in energy from chaos and dark energy within their environment and then turn it into their own power and potential. Okay, all for top tier, tier 4. First link in the YouTube description. I'll leave it there. Now, I want to say a special shout out to all of the Patreon members specifically for taking your knowledge, practice, and studies to that other side. Huge shout out to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, the second link in the YouTube description, you can't miss it. Click the drop down. This is where you can book your own tarot card reading with me. Okay, now this is a tarot card reading that I promise you've never received before. Why is that? It's because I'm a professional occultist who understands the Kabbalistic tree way more than the average person. So what this means is that I can pinpoint exactly where you are on that Kabbalistic tree, tell you what you're feeling, experiencing, and going through in the present moment, and then tell you what to expect moving into your near and your long-term future based on your position on the Kabbalistic tree and where you're headed. Okay, I've done well over 400 readings at this point. I do about a reading every single day. I get tons of valuable feedback. If you want to take advantage of it, second link below. Okay, now this is the third link in the YouTube description. This is where you can become a YouTube member. Okay, now as you become a YouTube member, you are gaining access to a multitude of benefits. Specifically, when I do live streams, you get special shout outs. You have a special badge next to your name that has occult significance. You have the ability to leave a question that appears in the form of a super chat every single month, okay, for free as a YouTube member. But most importantly, what you're doing is you're getting access to an exclusive emoji system that I've created myself called the Psychic Warfare Emoji Program. Okay, so what this means is that as soon as you become a YouTube member, you have access to a special group of emojis that I've designed myself that are based on real occult principles that can be used in a certain configuration to cause psychic damage to a target of your choice. Okay, so this is literally the most simple form of using psychic warfare. There are over 1,000 posts where people have used this system, and as I'm speaking right now, there are people using it. Okay, so if you want to take advantage of any of these benefits, third link in the YouTube description, become a YouTube member. Okay, now the fourth and last link in the YouTube description, you can't miss it. This is where you can book your Emf Incense Sticks, okay? Electromagnetic frequency incense sticks, okay? These are incense sticks that I create myself. They're organic incense sticks. They do not look the same as your typical incense sticks that you get, from your local shop or online. They are all long lasting. Each one is going to last at a minimum of about an hour long, and this has been tried and tested by me many times. And I create the scent that goes within these sticks. So the scents that I choose are two primary scents that are based on occult significance, and they create an occult formula to further open the 11th sphere on the Kabbalistic tree. And as well, one of these scents is actually an essential oil, which helps to give access to the deep unconscious and subconscious mind. Okay? Then inside of the base where these sticks soak, I put in 11 drops of real monatomic gold. So they are literally soaking with real monatomic gold, and this is what gives them their real electromagnetic frequency property, okay? Now, as well as that, within the liquid base, I have sitting real quartz and real citrine quartz crystals. So they're also charging on that level as well. And yeah, once again, these are incense sticks that are extremely powerful. You've never seen any sticks like these before. And I've sold out many times. So if this is something you want to take advantage of and you want to place your order, you know exactly where to go. It is the fourth link in the YouTube description. That's where you can get your hands on a bundle of 50. Okay, so we'll leave that there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you all have an amazing rest of the day or night, wherever you are, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.